Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and as you can see, I've got another big Porto fan in the house, and this is Hugo. How you doing, Hugo?
Good. How are you, Ray?
I'm all right, mate. And just to let you know that Hugo is obviously, as I said, a big Porto fan, and as a child, he lived in Portugal, obviously supporting Porto. And you're in the States somewhere, aren't you, Hugo?
Yep, I'm in New Jersey. That's where I live currently, and I'm actually in New York City right now.
Fantastic. Guys, obviously we're here to talk about some massive game, first game of the Champions League this season for both Manchester City and Porto at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. And we're here to preview that game and find out a little bit more about Porto, the players, and what's going on at the moment, and vice versa. Hugo will hopefully ask me a few questions as we go on about City. So I'm going to start looking at what happened in the summer to Porto. Obviously, you had some financial fair play issues, and you offloaded quite a few players. You brought some new players in, some on loan, some look quite exciting. So can you tell me about what's gone on in the summer at Porto?
Sure. We had a few great losses in the team. Two of them were pretty big. One of which is Alex Telles, the great, left back, the greatest ever defender to have scored most goals in Porto for only being there for 4 seasons, which is a big deal. A few of the reasons I say that he's the one of the biggest losses is because the way he carried himself on the pitch, off the pitch. He carried himself with what we call the mística, which is a Portuguese word that Porto uses a lot to describe the players that show, that character of never quit, never give up, give it all, leave it all on the pitch, carry that logo proud on their chest, and represent Porto and the city and everything they stand for.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was only there for 4 seasons, but he left a great mark on that team and on that city.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how do you think he's going to do in the Premier League? Do you think he's going to take what he's done at Porto and just do the same in the Premier League, just carry on?
I believe he has a really good quality to do so. Yeah, he showed that I don't think it doesn't matter what league he plays in. I think he has the quality in himself to prove himself no matter where he goes and do well.
Yeah. I'm thinking of other names. You got you left Fabio Silva left. He's only 18, but 40 million euros. It's a heck of a lot of money. Did that surprise you, the amount of the transfer?
It did not surprise me because he is an up-and-coming Portuguese soccer star. Being young, he did not get, I feel, as much opportunity as he should while at Porto. And that saddened me because I really liked him as a young player. I think he had, great things to give to the club. But if they felt that was his time to go, hopefully he'll do good at the Wolves, and I'm pretty sure he will. Yeah. And he's got other Portuguese players there that'll help him integrate very quickly.
It's basically a Portuguese team there.
It is. It's insane.
And one other, you lost a guy to a Chinese club.
Suarez.
Suarez, yeah. Was he any good? I mean, it's one of these things you don't know when players go to China. Sometimes they're going at the end of their careers, but sometimes now we're finding some of them are going right in the peak of their careers because the money is just incredible.
Yeah, he was not too old yet, but he was getting up there in his age. He did play a key part in the last 3 years that he played in Porto. He was one of the best goal scorers that we had at the time. So it's a loss. Hopefully the new ones that came on board will, take on his legacy and do it just as well, if not better.
Yeah. So my next question would be, at the new people that have joined, and you got 6 transfers in and 3 loan signings.
Yeah.
Who are the 2 or 3 of those players that you think, wow, this guy is going to be a good replacement for what we've lost?
I think forward-wise, I believe Taremi, which came from another Portuguese league team.
Yeah,
he was the top scorer in his team. I think he'll do well. He just has to get time to adapt,
that's
to
the Iranian guy,
methods.
Sorry, that's the Iranian guy.
That is correct. That's him. Yep. And the replacement for Telles, he only played a couple of games so far, but from what I can see, I think he has it in him. He just has to again get used to the way Porto plays and integrate himself better with the team. But I think he has what it takes to. No one's ever going to be an exact replacement for Telles, but
Is that the? I just question. Is that the Nigerian kid?
Zaidu, yeah.
Zaidu Sanusi, yeah, he looks
Correct.
He looks all right.
Yeah.
And then you got a few players from England. You got a couple from England, didn't you?
Felipe Anderson, I believe his name is.
Yeah, he was at West Ham, and you got. I don't know how you got this guy, Marko Grujic. I thought that was after the window closed, but you got him from Liverpool, and you also got Malang Sarr from Chelsea.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Back to that, I forgot his name. The Grichy side, I think. What was his name? Grichy?
Yeah.
Yes. Back to him. He's coming in to hopefully replace another great loss for Porto, which was Danilo that left for PSG. Yeah. Danilo was not only a great player, but he was the captain of the team. So he carried the team forward plenty of times. He had that, that captain, that momentum that the team needed to not only defend, but to push his colleagues forward. So that's another big loss that a lot of people aren't talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's one of those things that Porto and the Portuguese league is at that level that you have to sell players. I mean, last summer you sold wonder kid João Felix to Atletico.
No, that was Benfica.
Oh, sorry, that was Benfica. Sorry, I take it back.
Our biggest rival.
They have to sell players at a ridiculous. They have to sell the best players to the Portuguese league, and you
constantly. And to me, it's a needed thing, but unfortunately, it just kills the league year after year. Yeah. Especially the young Portuguese talent that we have. I think they should remain for at least a couple of years more at each team, but it's hard to keep them.
It as you say, it diminishes the league in terms of where it can go, and you will look at it and say, if you look at Wolves, if you put Wolves into the Portuguese league, they do quite well because with all those Portuguese players.
Oh, definitely, they would be devastating.
I got a feeling they'd win it with all the players they've got and they can get, and you think, if they could only stay, but it happens that in all leagues. Many clubs lose their best players to the top teams or the leagues, and it's sadly
the nature of the game. Unfortunately, at the moment,
nature of money. That's the way it works. Yeah.
Money talks.
Absolutely. You got any question for me, Hugo?
Yeah. Since we're talking about Porto, what do you see as Porto's greatest weaknesses and strengths at the moment?
Right now, well, obviously, one of the issues is the turnaround of players. I mean. If we're honest, you've got 6 players in. Obviously, some of them are young. There's a Brazilian kid, Evan Nielsen, but most of them you got let's say some names. Carassa, he's 27. You got Claudio Ramos, 28. Mm-hmm. You got the guy you mentioned, the Iranian guy, Taremi, who's 28. So you'd think these guys should be knocking on the door of your first team. Then you got the Nigerian kids, Zaidu Sanusi, 23, Martinez, 23, and this Evan Nielsen, 21. So you look, that's a lot of players to come in, as well as the 3 loan signings. You don't get, in my opinion, someone like Felipe Anderson, who's 27 years old, on loan, not to play him. Right. There's no benefit getting these loan players not to play, and people like Grujic as well. You don't get a 24-year-old not to play him. So that's a lot of new players. So I think at the start of the season, that's going to be an issue. Losing some good players and getting a lot of new players in the turnaround and getting everybody to gel. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I think that's a negative right now. You started the season, you've let in a lot of goals. I think you've in 4 games only kept 1 clean sheet at Boavista when you beat them 5-0. But in the other games, you've let in 6 goals in 3 games, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So that's not great. So you got a strength at the moment is you scored a lot of goals. You scored 12 goals in 4 games. So you're creating chances and you're putting them away. I think one of the weaknesses I've heard is down the flanks where you're a little bit weak with the fullbacks. I think the way you play maybe a bit too narrow. You're allowing teams to come down the sides and put crosses in and make it probably more dangerous than it should be.
Yeah. And
if you're letting in 6 goals, then that's obviously got to be a worry. Having said that, City let in 5 in 1 game, so who am I to talk about that? But I think it's the difference is for City, we let 5 in 1 game. We've kept a clean sheet, and we let 1 in the others. Whereas you've let a 3 and a 2 and a 1. It seems to be consistent that you're letting in goals.
Yeah,
that's got to be a slight worry.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually interesting that both Porto and City have the same standings right now in the league with 4 games played, 2 wins, 1 tie, 1 loss each.
That's it. That's it. So, but you got a nice positive goal difference of 6. Ours is 0 from that loss against Leicester.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the Champions League then, Hugo. What are your realistic expectations from this group? Do you think you can get out of this group?
I believe we can. I think we have the capacity to do so. Hands down, I'm pretty sure Manchester City is gonna, be the leader and go through no problems. But I think Porto, excuse me, has a good chance of being the runner-up. Like all groups in the Champions League, the Group C is no easier or tougher. They're all the same. I think that nowadays, Champions League, there's always surprises. No matter how strong you think a team is, there's always that underdog that comes through and just surprises the heck out of you. But I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough group for all the teams involved. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that you guys have got, at the moment, fans can go to games in Portugal. It's not obviously
they will be. Yep. Yeah. I just heard that this weekend.
Yeah. So that's obviously going to give you, it has to give you an advantage, even if you've only got 15 or 20,000 fans in the stadium. Obviously, there's no away fans, so that's going to give you it should give you a huge advantage.
It does, yeah. I agree with you on that. That's definitely going to be an advantage. Are the players going to take on to that event? I hope so, because they're always, the fans are part of the game, no matter how you look at it. A game without fans, it's never the same. Even watching it on TV, it's never the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of when going to Marseille. Now, in Marseille, you'd expect a really hostile environment, a hostile atmosphere, a little bit dangerous in the streets for the fans. But that hostile environment, no matter what players say, they say we switch off and everything else, they will be affected by a hostile atmosphere. So I think Marseille will be a little bit of a disadvantage to that. And, you guys, if you can make it count, then you're going to take all the advantages you can.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, back to the group stage. How do you see City this year? Do you think they're going to be able to take it all the way in the Champions League?
You can't ask that sort of question.
Let me rephrase it. How far do you think they're going to go this year?
Well, the first thing is get out the group. I think Pep's done his press conference today, and he's not talking it up, because you can't talk it up what we've done in the Champions League, especially under Pep in the last 4 years. There's a round of 16 and 3 quarterfinals, if I'm right. And honestly, we've not performed in the games we've lost. We performed adequately, but something's let us down, and we've not performed the way we were playing in the league. Losing against Spurs the other season, 2 seasons ago, we won the Premier League, and we won all the domestic trophies in England. Mm-hmm. But when we played Spurs, another English team in the Champions League, we weren't the same. We didn't have that swagger. We didn't have that confidence, and it showed. And so that's always the worry. Getting through the group, I don't have any qualms. I don't have any worries, about getting to the group. No disrespect to Olympiacos, I don't really see them getting them doing much, especially away from home. I think City in Manchester should be looking to win at least 2 or 3 of the games, not losing any, and that should be enough to get us through. After that, it's really, even though Pep denies it, it's mentality. What else can it be when you've got your star defender against Spurs making mistakes in the pot? And what can it be when Sterling's got an open goal with no goalkeeper and he hits it and misses? What can it be when Aguero has a penalty at Spurs and it's a rubbish penalty? I mean, Pep's tactics don't eventually work. But then, on the other hand, sometimes you go to someone like Real Madrid and beat them in their own backyard. So it shows that we've got the players, we've got the ability, we've got the talent. I think once we can get it right here, then we can go to the next stage. But the minimum is get out of the group. If Pep doesn't get out of the group, Pep's gone. I can't see him staying. Well, you can't.
No, I agree.
That's the minimum. And to be honest, really, now the minimum should be semi-final. Really, that's the minimum for City. Otherwise, more questions will be asked of Pep.
Yeah, especially with the roster you have. Huh?
Yeah. With the amount of money we spent, the amount of players we've got, and the quality we have, we should be getting further, and I think that's what the owner really, really wants, and now that's what he covets, is winning that Champions League and playing the sort of football that Barcelona used to play on their way to winning it. Can I ask you then, Hugo? Obviously, City got a lot of good players, but which City players do you think will impact the game the most, or who do you fear the most?
Obviously, the ones that always come to mind are the ones in the attacking third. So, with De Bruyne being out because of the injury in Belgium, playing for Belgium, I'm going to say Sterling, Bernardo Silva, and of course Aguero as always. Yeah. That's the three that I'm going to go with. Yeah.
I'll ask you about Bernardo. You obviously watch Portugal play. How's he been for Portugal? Because last season, well, go back 2 seasons, he was phenomenal 2 seasons ago for Man City. He was voted our player of the season, and obviously for Portugal in the Nations League, he had a fantastic season. Last season, he dropped off a bit, and I've heard that he's started to recapture his form for Portugal. So how has he been internationally?
I was going to say, I think this year he showed that he's actually coming back to his old ways. I agree. Yeah, the last couple of games he played for Portugal are on point, very consistent.
Yeah, working hard, running hard. And
like he always does with the ball. Yeah, he knows how to treat that ball well.
Which Porto players right now do you think can make the difference against City? Who are your best players right now?
Defensively, I'm going to say Pepe. Even giving his age, he's rock solid. He's been a little sleepy late, but he's still rock solid. Pepe for sure, defensive wise. And the attacking third, I'm going to say Corona and Luis Diaz right now, I believe. Even though Luis Diaz is not at his greatest form right now, I still think he poses a big threat.
Yeah.
He's quick with the ball.
Yeah. Any more questions for me?
Let's see here. How do you expect the game to go? You think it's going to be a very tactical game? You think it's going to be an open game?
I think the way City's games have gone this season and towards the end of last season, but especially this season, because we've not had much of a break. We finished Champions League on the 15th of August, and our first league game was, I think, the 19th of September. So we had about 5 weeks break, and in that time, we've got to let the guys have some time off. In that time, we've got to let them have a pre-season. Well, there's not enough time to have. You need. I think you're supposed to have at least 6 or 7 weeks off. And I think that's as a holiday, and then have your preseason. So they've not had enough time, and we've seen that with the way we started the season. We started every game in the league on fire for the first 20 or 30 minutes, really, against Wolves. They couldn't live with us. Leicester couldn't live with us. Leeds couldn't live with us. But we never got more than one goal. We never got enough of a breakthrough against those teams. And then after about 20, 30 minutes, we started to ease off on our pressing, and those teams came back into the game, so much so that, Leicester absolutely thumped us. Wolves could have scored 2 or 3 goals in the second half, and I think Leeds could have beaten us as well. So that's my concern for City. If we can get out in the first 30 minutes, if we can get, let's say, a 2-goal lead, then I think it should be an easy game for City to control and hold it out. But if we either don't score, the longer it goes on, the longer you're in the game, the more I feel you're going to get something, at least a point out of the game. Even if you're 1-0 behind, as long as you're in the game, you will create chances. City's defense have given up, as I said, we have given up a lot of goals this season. I think it's 7 goals in 4 games. And we've given up a lot of chances. So as I said, the Wolves, they could easily have had 3 goals in that second half against City. Not just 1 goal. They could have got 3 more. Leeds could have got a couple of goals. Even Arsenal, when we beat them 1-0, they could have scored a couple of goals as well. I think Ederson made one great save with his shoulder. So that's my concern for City, is that we will be tired after 30 or 40 minutes. Maybe if we're lucky, we might get to 60 minutes. But then I think the lack of fitness, the lack of break and pre-season and everything else will start to take its toll. So I just hope from City side we get a couple of goals ahead, and then we can course the game and manage it. But as I repeat, if you guys are in that game, then it starts to become more of a concern. The longer you're in the game, the more worried I get. How do you see it going then?
I think I fall in line with what you're saying as well. I think Porto is going to try to put the pressure early on, as they always like doing, but they're lacking in the goal scoring department. They create a lot of chances, but when it comes to scoring goals, they're just not there yet. So to me, if Porto can score if Porto could come out of there with a tie, with scoring at least a goal or two, that would be phenomenal on their part. Because I don't see them winning, honestly, but a tie would be great with goals.
I think a draw would actually set you up for the rest of the group.
Right.
My final question then is, Hugo, what will you give me as a score prediction?
I think a 1-1 or 2-2. I would go for one of those.
Yeah.
That would be a great result for Porto.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But realistically, a 1-1 would be, I think, the result that's coming out of there. Yeah.
For me, I think you'll score. If you don't score, you'll have the chances to score. You'll have at least a couple of good chances, I believe, unless we blitz you in the first 30 minutes.
Right.
Then I think we'll control the game. But I think you'll get 2 or 3 decent chances to score. We seem to be giving up 2 or 3 chances in most games in the league against good opposition, your good opposition. But I think we'll create. It's just a matter of whether we finish. So I'm going to go with 3-1 to City. As I said, I think we have got the players. We've got the best players overall. So we should be. But you just never know. I mean, that's the beauty of football. It's 11v11, and on the day you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, whatever the result might be, it's definitely going to be a great game of football. That's for sure.
I think it's going to be goals. I think it'd be exciting. I don't think Porto, like you say, I don't think they're going to come there and try to shut up shop.
No, they're always under pressure. They're not a team that likes to just hold back in the back third. No.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to say big thanks to Hugo for coming on today for this chat about Porto, his team. And you want to show us the badge? You want to show us that badge, man? Yeah.
Go Porto, Forza Porto.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right.
Big thanks, Hugo, for coming on today.
You got it. Thank you. Anytime.
Cheers, man. Take care. Cheers. Bye now.
Bye.